Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Savvy Entrepreneur, the podcast that is for entrepreneurs and by entrepreneurs. I'm Michelle Burkhart, your host, and I am with thesavvymind.com. And I'm excited here to be here today with Kristie Jones from the Sales Accelerator Group. And she is going to be really very upfront and personal, I think, with kind of her approach to her business, which I really like that about her. And I think you will too. So, Kristie, welcome to the show.
Michelle, thank you for having me on. I can't wait. We can, like I said earlier, we could talk for hours. So
We could talk for hours. And I always feel like we really solve all the problems of the world when we do.
we do. We do.
So why don't you let's start let's lay the groundwork. Tell everybody what you do.
So I'm a sales consultant. I say I'm a sales strategist, a process strategist, really. I spend a lot of time working on sales process in order to accelerate revenue. So I work with mostly founders and entrepreneurs of small, mid-sized companies, privately owned, sometimes VC or PE backed, but really helping them build out their sales teams, build out their sales process, build out their sales strategy in order to generate additional growth and revenue.
Which is perfect. And what I like about now your company's you're about 5 years old, right?
Yeah, actually next month will be my 5th year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, and I don't know what the percentages are, but just to get to 5 years is it's quite a feat, to be honest.
Yes, thank you.
And I guess I have probably known you about a year or so, and I have actually seen your growth just exponentially happen. And we were talking offline, and I really want to kind of go into that part of it because this is all about as an entrepreneur, how do you get better? How do you overcome your challenges? How do you dig in and make it happen?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's anybody that has really dug in to make it happen, that has been you, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
So why don't you kind of tell people sort of and I don't need the history from when you started, but I was like the last, 12 to 18 months, what changed, what really deepened, because you are definitely going deep and wide right now. So just share that a little bit, that experience with everybody so that they maybe can learn from you as well.
Yeah, I mean, like all businesses, I've had the ebb and flow, right? So my first 2 years in business, I just couldn't keep up. I said, when one door closed, 2 doors opened. I felt super blessed. I got amazing support from a few individuals that I had known for years who made introductions for me. And so I was just literally, I was working, 60 or 70 hours a week, just trying to keep up and just saying yes to everything. Cause I was new on my own and, no more W-2 and set income coming in. So I said yes to everything. One of the things I didn't say yes to was prospecting. So year 3 kind of bit me in the ass because all of a sudden, I pivoted my business. So I was doing a lot of fractional sales leadership at the time, and it was exhausting. I was mostly just based in St. Louis and Indianapolis at that point. I was driving myself all over St. Louis and driving to and from Indianapolis every other week for 4 or 5 days. And I was exhausted. And I was managing 3 or 4 or 5 sales teams at a time in a fractional way for companies that didn't really need a full-time, VP of sales or CRO was exhausting. And so I decided that I wanted to kind of take a step back and do maybe 1 or 2 fractional clients, but then do projects, help people come in and stuck areas, if you will, and improve processes and strategies and help them hire better employees or better sales reps. But I just made that decision. I didn't build my pipeline for that.
Okay. Note to self.
Yeah, no,
I'm
an executor. I was like, okay, got a new plan. Let's go. And so I started firing clients, so to speak. I just started working my way out of gigs. I didn't want to overstay my welcome anyway. So I always felt like fractional sales leadership, a year was probably enough. And at that point, they may need another face or they may need a real full-time person. I was just kind of there temporarily, but I didn't plan for it. So I had an 18-month period where things were just a little bit dry and where I needed to, make some changes. So I started a newsletter. I started prospecting again. I started putting a ton of content out there. I was writing a lot of blog posts and white papers. And so I really started marketing, and I've really continued that. And over even during the pandemic, I probably helped 5 companies hire sales reps, VPs of marketing, SDR, sales development reps. And that really fueled my fire and got me through. And that was kind of a side hustle that I picked up as I started to walk into companies and realize that people had mishired sales reps, like they were
Right.
in the wrong seat on the bus, they weren't true hunters. And so I started offering that service to my clients and said, hey, like I'll project manage the hiring process. Like I'm not a recruiter, I don't source, I don't have a database, but like let's do this together and let me help you hire a higher quality of person. And that kind of got me really through the pandemic. But then towards the end, I started to feel like the world kind of open up. One of my marketing strategies was to be on every podcast that I could get my hands on. And so I started doing that, and people started reaching out to me and saying, I heard you on this podcast. I heard you on that podcast. Like, can we schedule a time to talk? And so that was kind of my marketing strategy. I was still doing all that LinkedIn and blog post writing and everything. And as you know, like I just shared with you, like my last 3 clients, 2 of which have come from hearing me on podcasts. And the third one that I'm hoping to pick up soon found me on LinkedIn, just because of my activity on there. So like marketing pays off, but you have to be consistent about it. And so like, my goal this year was to be on 8 podcasts. And I think you're number 5 or 6. And
Oh, that's fantastic.
we're midway through February. So like, I got to revise my goals, right? Because I was like, that's not enough. I need to do 20 or whatever. And I find that that's a really good way, because I do have a very unique communication style. As you know, I'm a very direct communicator. And by hearing me on a podcast or seeing me on YouTube or that type of thing, you get a really good flavor for the kind of consultant that I am and the kind of and what you can expect. So really what you see is what you get on these podcasts. And this is how I'll be if you bring me into the company. So I think that's been a really good strategy for me, because I think I'm attracting the right type of companies.
Well, you attract the people that work best with you.
That's right.
Which I think is great. I think that's really great. So if you're just joining us right now, you are listening to The Savvy Entrepreneur, the podcast that is for entrepreneurs and by entrepreneurs. And my name is Michelle Burkhart, and I'm your host. And I'm here with Kristie Jones from the Sales Acceleration Group. And we're both located in St. Louis, but of course, both of us work internationally if possible. We would love that. I would love flying to Paris. I'm not opposed to that after the pandemic at all.
Right.
So, Kristie, let's talk about you. You really do work with, you work with small to mid-sized companies, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So what is it that you see that the top 3 struggles might be for them?
I think the owner founder role is really challenging. Like most of my clients have fewer than 50 employees even. And so I think not being like the multiple hat thing is a big struggle for founders. Like, they're playing founder, they're also playing, department head in some cases. They're also playing HR in a lot of cases. And so I think it's super fragmented. The majority of people that I work with are what I would call an entrepreneurial spirit or visionaries. And so I don't think sometimes they understand, like I'm an executor of other people's vision, right? So I partner amazingly well with those folks, but I'm not a visionary. Like I don't create ideas from scratch. There's plenty of ideas out there and I just adapt them and customize them to your situation. But I think, I find a lot of entrepreneurs and founders don't really know how to build the right team around them. Right. Like everybody's like, cultural fit. And I'm like, so I've stopped saying that. And now I say cultural add. Like, how do you add to the culture to fill in the gaps? And so I think a lot of founders and owners struggle with building the right team around them. People that'll be honest with them. Like I said to a prospect the other day, I said, hey, if the baby's ugly, it's just ugly. Like it just is what it is. Now we'll work with it, but the baby's ugly. Like what, you can put a pink bow in their hair if you want. It may or may not change the fact that they're just not pretty yet. So I mean, like I think sometimes people like, again, especially early. I think early founders and entrepreneurs sometimes like fill themselves with yes people a little bit because they need that confidence, but it's not helpful. It's a false sense of confidence that you gain. It's not helpful. And so I think again, like mishire, like not bringing the right team in, not bringing people who are going to challenge you, mishiring folks, not getting rid of folks fast enough. The other problem with small companies is the concept of family. Like we're a family. And so like firing crazy Aunt Susie, who really isn't related to you, is a challenge, but I call it addition by subtraction. Like terminating one bad player or underperforming player or shit disturber, if you will change the dynamics of the team twofold.
I agree with you there. I really do. It's just an amazing process. So, and if you're just joining us today, you are listening to The Savvy Entrepreneur, the podcast that's for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And I'm Michelle, your host. We're here with Kristie Jones from the Sales Acceleration Group, loving every minute of it. And I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about something that I think people would be surprised about. You know, I incorporate, when I work with my clients, I incorporate marketing, positioning, and some strategy. But the other side of the coin is mindset. And I think people would be surprised to learn that you are a mindset person. I'll call it for that, for lack of a better term, but that you've actually done some manifesting for your business. So let's talk about that. I think that's really interesting because I very, very, very much believe that business is always personal and personal is always internal. So let's talk about that a little bit. Tell everybody kind of what you do, how you do it, and what the results have been.
Yeah. I started this back when I was a teenager, actually. I played competitive racquetball. So I played junior racquetball at a very young age. Started at 14, traveled, had a sponsorship with Head Rackets. It was my whole world from like 14 through college. And I started really reading up on visualization and the power of positive talk. And so I brought that to the court. So, visualize myself shaking hands with my opponent as the winner, not the loser. Watching myself move through the bracket, right? Like starting at the round of 16 or 32 and working my way, to each round and visualizing my name being on that next line as I move my way through the bracket. I now play competitive tennis. I'm on a USTA women's tennis team, and I took that same concept and applied that to tennis, but I do things consistently like that through sports that I brought into business. So on the tennis court, I repeatedly say to myself throughout a match, I'm the winner, I'm the winner, I'm the winner. You're going to win this point. You're going to win this point. You're going to win this point. And I truly believe, I'm a 4.0 USTA tennis player. I didn't play college tennis. Obviously I played college racquetball. So I'm no tennis rock star, but I'm mentally tougher than most. I mean, I'm physically, I'm physically in shape, but I'm also believe that I'm mentally tougher than my opponents. And I don't have discussions with them about that. I've just decided that I am.
But I also have it. And see, that's a big part of it. You've made the decision.
Right. And then coming out of last year into this year, I spent more time doing strategic planning than I normally would. I really put some thought into that. I have it right here on my board. I fill it out every time anytime I can check a box on that list, I check the box and keep a running list of how I'm doing against my accomplishments. But recently, in the last, again, since the beginning of the year, I have basically said 2021 is going to be the best year for me financially, physically, professionally, personally, and relationally. And I say that every morning out loud. I never used to say it out loud. I used to say it before I went to bed or in the morning, and I used to say it in my head. And now I say, today is a great day to grow professionally. Today is a great day to expand my life financially. And I'm just saying this stuff out loud now. I'm just putting it out there. And again, this doesn't take an hour. This takes minutes. This is, but I'm anytime it comes into my conscious, I just stop and say it out loud. And anytime something amazing happens, I'm like, this was supposed to happen. I was supposed to work with this client. I'm supposed to work with this client. I'm supposed to have a new client in Denver. I'm supposed to have a new client in Tel Aviv, Israel that I just picked up. Those things are just supposed to happen. I'm just yep, this is what's supposed to happen. It was already predestined.
So tell me, how do you feel like that's impacted? How do you feel it impacts your day to day?
I think A, it is giving me additional confidence, and B, I'm just affirming myself. I was always capable of doing all of this. I just never said it out loud. I let other people you do a great job of reaffirming me. And other people do a great job of reaffirming me, but I wasn't reaffirming myself. I knew if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, thank you so much. But, in fairness, I work really hard this wasn't I'm very clear with people that what I've accomplished is not luck. I'm not lucky. Right. I created all of this. And I started saying that out loud probably 2 or 3 years ago. What I did, the reason why everybody came forward, I cashed in some chips 5 years ago when I wanted to start doing this, and people came forward out of the woodwork to help me, but it's because I'd already helped them. It was just paying it forward, right? I constantly say to people, I got 30 minutes for anybody. If you need 30 minutes worth of advice, I'll find 30 minutes for you. Now I might not have an hour and 30 minutes for you, but I have 30 minutes. Like when people reach out and say, can you talk to my friend? They're looking for a job, or can you talk me through like how you would deal with this problem? So like I do a lot of free consulting, but I also feel like it's not, it's part of the, like I call it like charity work that I do, right? Like I'm a mentor for I-10, I'm a mentor for Generator up in Minneapolis. I teach junior achievement. I do all these things because I believe it's the right thing to do. I want to give back. I know there are people that can't afford me, but I told people, I said, I have done a lot of the right things and now the right things are happening to me. And I believe that's manifestation of the universe. I wasn't doing it consciously initially. It was self-fulfilling, right? Like I felt good about helping people rewrite their resume or prep for a job interview. Like it made me feel important. It made me feel like an expert. And I probably built some of those skills and test drove those on some free consulting clients, if you will. But I now believe that the reason that I am in the place that I'm in today is because not only am I manifesting that, but I believe very clearly that people know the difference between right and wrong, and the right thing to do for people and the wrong thing to do for people. And I try to always say, like, it's the right thing to give somebody 30 minutes of my time or an hour of my time. Like it's the right thing to do. Like I have a skill set that they could benefit from that would make their life better. So that's the right thing to do. So just do it.
Right. No, I think that's great. I think it's absolutely fabulous that you do it. And if you're just joining us today, you're listening to The Savvy Entrepreneur, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And I'm your host, Michelle Burkhart with thesavvymind.com. And we're here talking with Kristie Jones from the Sales Acceleration Group. And we're kind of getting ready to kind of wrap things up. So I want to ask you one more question. What do you think, or if, it's like if you had to sprinkle fairy gold dust and just give a wish to the entrepreneurs out there that are struggling, what would be the tip that you would give them?
Like, don't throw in the towel just yet.
Oh, I like it.
Like dig a little deeper, get a little grittier, try and I don't know that try a little harder, but it's like, believe in yourself, give yourself one more chance, give the company one more chance, give the concept one more chance. Again, like I mentioned, I work with very early stage entrepreneurs here in St. Louis through I-10 that are literally like still full-time employed. I say like they're still working out of their basement or their garage.
Right.
And like it's very hard. Like there are times when they call and they're like, I just don't know that this is the right thing to do. Like I don't know that this is the right concept. I don't know that I have the gumption to get this done. And I was like, I always say to people, like, you want to be able to sleep at night, but you also want no regrets. And if you really, really, really try, if you try and do everything you can and believe in yourself and affirm yourself and do all that, and it still doesn't work out, at least I think you're going to be able to say to yourself, like, you know what, I tried, I failed, I'll try again.
Right.
Most entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. And oh, by the way, most entrepreneurs' first X number of ventures do not work out for them.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the very well-known entrepreneurs in our country failed over and over and over again before they hit on the right idea. So, I mean, I think like not even throwing in the towel is not even throwing in the towel about the concept of being an entrepreneur. So like, maybe this isn't the right idea at the right time,
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, not everybody owns that. And so this might not be the right idea at the right time in the right market, but don't give up the concept of being an entrepreneur or, coming up with, new ideas or trying a different idea. Lots of people have tried and failed multiple times before they hit on the idea. And,
Right.
you hear people say like, oh yeah, I'm a 20-year overnight success. Right.
Right. Oh, for
So
sure.
true. So true. And I guess my 1B tip would be like, build the right circle. You and I were talking about that before we went live, and I need to be in the room where people will make me better. And
Right.
I have, and I've joined some groups where that was initially the case, but not the case now. And I have a very close friend that says, like, as you're evolving, other people won't evolve with you. And
That's
one of the
true.
things you have to come to terms with is the fact that sometimes you'll have to let people go in order to move forward. And so build the right circle for now, but continue to build the right circle. The right circle for now may not be the right circle in 5 years. Like as you continue to evolve and develop, Michelle, you and I have done some work together recently in the last few months that I'd never thought about doing before. I'm evolving, like I'm bringing new people into my world. I'm bringing new challenges, with those people, right? Those people are challenging me in different ways.
Sure.
And it's, and I'm going to have to let some people go in order to keep my circle tight and keep
Mhm.
my circle inspiring me and challenging me and making me better. So I think that's the other thing. And again, and I talked about that a little bit in like building the right people in the first few employees, like building the right team around
Mhm.
you that's going to challenge you, that's going to make you better, that's going to lift you up.
I think that stands to reason though, that, and it supports, you need to that in your personal life as well.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
if you are really digging in deep, and business is always personal. I don't care what anybody says. It's your blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep.
And if you're hanging around, your sister or your Aunt Susie or your boyfriend or whatever, and they don't support you and they don't lift you up,
Mhm.
then they just create more doubt in your mind, and you don't need that either. So I think you need to be really careful about your personal circle as well.
Yeah, I don't have a separate. I don't really have a very separate circle. Like most of my people fall into both categories.
Yeah.
Most of my inner circle of 5 or so fall into both categories. I have a couple people that fall outside from a personal standpoint
Hmm.
that like again like I'm fitness and physicality and that kind of stuff is very important to me. So I have some people that fall into that category that don't fall in like that I don't talk business with while we're running.
Right. Right.
But that I know I keep them around because I go, hey, who wants to go for a run tomorrow at 10 at Queenie Park? And they're going, me. And I know they'll
Right.
always say yes to that. Right. So like,
Right.
but I would say I have blended most of my inner circle to both.
Which I think is the best way to do it, as long as you can find the people to do that, and then
That's
it all works. That's what's great.
That's right.
Do you want to tell everybody how to find you?
I do. The best way to find me is on LinkedIn. So I'm Kristie Jones, Kristie. As Michelle said, we're out of St. Louis, so I'm not too hard to find. So please connect with me, send me a note, let me know what you thought about the podcast. And my website is salesaccelerationgroup.com. If you're in the sales arena, sales reps or sales leaders, there's a lot of great blog posts and articles. I've also posted all of my podcasts. So when Michelle gets this live, we'll put that up there as well. So all of my podcasts, webinars, and blog posts can be found there. A lot of great resources for you. So please reach
Perfect.
out, say hi, tell me how I can help.
Perfect. 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 So for all of you out there, thank you so much for listening. Kristie, thank you so much for taking your time to share with us. I always love talking with you. I'd just love to chat with you all the time. So you
Michelle.
are all listening to the Savvy Mind, or I'm sorry, here I am promoting my company, the Savvy
But you
Entrepreneur.
should.
Yeah, and I know it's okay to do that. I'm Michelle Burkhart with thesavvymind.com. So tune in next week for another great interview, and we will talk to you all soon. See you
Thank you.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.